Hi, Professor Blake here again, and I'm going to go over the writing process that I recommend that you use for your papers this semester in our online Writing 205 class. After this class, you can do whatever you want, but this is a process that I've found works, and I'm going to recommend that you try it and see if you like it. Okay, the first part that you need to understand is that the writing process has steps, and this will probably sound familiar for an awful lot of you guys. I might use slightly different language, but this again sounds familiar. The first step is to plan. You may have heard pre-write, but in my language, planning involves something called a tap for. It's a strategy I learned and I use it all the time. My students seem to really like it. You'll read about it, but in short, tap for stands for topic, audience, purpose. So you want to make sure you know your topic and you write to the same audience throughout the whole paper and for the same purpose. The F is form, so we'll always be writing essays, but actually there is one paragraph, so you want to make sure you're in the right form. Or if you're writing a tweet or an email or a list, make sure you've got the right form. O stands for organizational elements of the genre, and you'll see that each genre that I teach has certain organizational elements that need to be there. That's going to be the foundation of your outline too. And I think once you know those genre elements, you're going to find writing a lot easier. And then R finally is the requirements of the assignment. So does it need MLA format? Do you need 6 sources? Whatever the requirements are. So you tap for first, think about what your goal is in the paper, and brainstorm and then outline. That might be a little bit more familiar. The second step is to write a rough draft, and I make a distinction between a rough draft and a first draft. So to write the rough draft, use that plan that you just made, the tap for brainstorm and the graphic organizer, and just write and get your main ideas and your key details down, but don't worry too much about making it just right, as in just correct. I want you to just write as in RITE. Just get something down on paper. If you are missing something, I often type, go back to this, or find more evidence on this. But just try to get a whole draft going. The next step is to revise, which is a term you probably have heard before. And what I recommend is that you take that rough draft, give it a day if you can, away from it if you have the time, and then go back to it and self-evaluate it before you let anybody else take a look at it. So you want to use the tap for, make sure you're on topic, writing to the same audience with the same purpose. Make sure you have all the organizational elements of the genre. And then fix any weak spots so that you end up with something that I call a first draft. And that's the one that's ready to be taken out to the public. It's pretty decent. That's the draft you want to get feedback on. Can I go back? Yep. From peers and the peer review, from a tutor if you take it to the Writing Center, for example, or from me. And then you're going to use that feedback and again your tap for to revise and make sure you're on topic, writing to the same audience with the same purpose and all that jazz. Then the last step is to edit and finish it. I really recommend reading aloud. I think you can catch an awful lot of errors that way. And we're going to focus this semester on editing for correctness, so to avoid errors, conciseness, to get rid of unnecessary words, and clarity. You also want to check for major errors and minor errors. And then finally, I want you to proofread both for correctness, conciseness, and clarity, and also for layout. That's going to be important too. All right, the second thing to keep in mind is that the writing process is recursive. I don't know if you know that word. But what this means is that the process is not linear. You don't go straight from planning through rough drafting, through revising to editing and finishing without any going back. No, that's not correct. Instead, you can dip in and out of all of the steps, back and forth, as much as you need. So you might be revising and you might have to go back to re-brainstorm if something's not working, or think through your tap for, or you might be close to finishing and then you realize, this paragraph should go better over there. So recursive means you can really dip in and out of all of the steps as much as you need to. So it's not a linear process at all. Okay, the third thing I want you to keep in mind is that the writing process addresses two kinds of thinking, two kinds of ideas. Okay, the higher order concerns, HOC, and the lower order concerns. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the first three steps really focus on the higher order concerns. This is the content. What are your main ideas and details? What's your evidence? What are your topic sentences? What's your thesis? And then the organization of that content. What order do I put things in? Do I put the counter arguments first or second? Do I put this evidence in this order or that order? Notice that here for these first three steps, for most of the writing process, you're not worried at all about spelling, punctuation, and grammar. That's what you worry about just in that last step. After you're pretty happy with the content and organization, then you focus on the lower order concerns of spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Okay, so this is an online course. This is how it's going to work on D2L, I hope. This is the first time I tried this with the OneDrive, so if something's not working, a link is not good, whatever, please let me know. But you're going to tab for brainstorm and make an outline, and that outline you're going to post to D2L, and that's going to be worth 5 points. You'll see a drop box for that under assignments. Then you're going to use your plan, and you're going to write a rough draft. And again, don't worry about it being perfect, but get your ideas down on paper, and you're going to use Microsoft Word on OneDrive for that draft, and I'll tell you why. You'll see why in a second. Then, as I said a little bit earlier, you're going to self-review your rough draft with your TAP 4. Are you on topic? Are you writing to a consistent audience for the same purpose? Everybody's going to be, or are you writing an essay or a paragraph? Do you have all the organizational elements of the genre? And are you meeting all the assignments requirements? And fix anything that's weak, and that's going to give you your first draft. That guy, the first draft, is going to get posted to D2L and the OneDrive link, and I'll show you in a second how to find that. And that'll be worth 5 points. What this does is it allows your peers in step 5 and me to see the draft and comment on it on OneDrive. I'll be able to see the history of the document. So anything that anybody has changed or posted to it, I'll be able to see that. This is to help prevent plagiarism, among other things. Then in step 5, so your first draft is now on D2L, and there's a link on D2L to your OneDrive document, right? So you're going to get feedback on your first draft from me and from your peers, and if you take it to the Writing Center from tutors. But you're also going to give feedback in the peer review. And that peer review that you're giving is worth 5 points also. And then close to finally, you're going to revise it, given the TAP 4 and the feedback, and edit and proofread it and finish it up. And then the final draft and the OneDrive link to the final draft goes into D2L. P2, the critique, is worth 100 points. P3, the argument, is 150 points. And then the biggie is the 300-point research paper. Okay, just to show you where you find the OneDrive link. So you're going to get into your OneDrive account, and you'll be in Documents. Okay, this is mine, obviously, for Writing 205. And you'll see 3 vertical dots. If you hover over a document, 3 vertical dots will appear. So I've hovered over this one, which is why the dots are here, but you don't see the dots here because I'm not hovering over those. Okay, so once you get those 3 vertical dots, then right-click on those dots, and you'll see this menu option open. Copy the link, and that's what you're going to put into D2L in the discussion board, along with, actually, no, in the discussion board you can't put the document. I'm not sure if you can. We'll have to figure that out. Okay. All right, so again, this is the first time I'm trying this. I think it should work. If you have questions, ask me. That's one of my dogs, Winnie. And we'll get through this. The first time around will be the first paper, P1. There's no writing process. You're just doing it on your own because it's so short, it's a paragraph. But we'll do this with our second paper, third, and fourth papers. So good luck, and hopefully it works. Bye.